am, of course, Dodgers fans, but there are even some Mets fans here tonight, so you can imagine there are some people here who are a little bit worried and some people here who are a little bit less worried. I believe we're in the bottom of the 7th inning, maybe ready to go to the 8th inning, and the score is 5-1, Mets leading the Dodgers. Now, right here I have a table of Dodgers fans. Rich, what do you think of tonight's game so far?
Well, we're a little disappointed. We could come back, but we're going to count on Oral for tomorrow night if we can't pull it out tonight.
Will it be more exciting if there's a game tomorrow night?
Oh, I think it'd be even more exciting, and Hershiser's been our stopper all year long. We're counting on him to pull us through tomorrow night.
Okay, I'm going to move along here among the crowd. This man, Randy, what do you think of tonight's game so far?
Well, there's still 2 innings left, 5 outs. I think we still have a chance, and tomorrow night Oral's pitching, so no problem.
We're not worried about tomorrow night. We're going to pull it out in the last 2 innings. We have complete faith in you tonight.
Okay, and we have some lady fans over here as well. I can hardly see you there. What do you think of tonight's game?
It's a little disappointing, but I think they'll come back in the next 2 innings.
Okay, optimistic fans here tonight. Anyway, you'll be hearing more from Scott St. James later in the newscast tonight about this 6th game of the National League Series. Back to you, Lonnie and Tom.
I think we can hang in for it.
I hope so, and they do have faith.
Yeah, and naturally, of course, as we say, Scott St. James will have all of the highlights or lowlights, if you will, later in our news.
We won't hear of it. In other news now, the unthinkable happened at the downtown Central Library tonight. A fire broke out in the library's basement. This only 2 years after 2 major arson fires gutted the building. Smoke and flames were pouring out of the library when firefighters arrived. The fire started in an area where construction material was stored for use in the building's renovation. Firefighters put on oxygen masks because of the asbestos tile ceilings in the basement. Arson investigators were called to the scene. No one was believed to be in the building when the fire broke out, and the fire was reported by a passerby. Officials say it is too soon as of now to assess the total damage to the building.
There was so much material in there that, as you can see, we're still getting some heavy smoke out of the building, and that'll be our major damage, is smoke damage throughout the building.
No structural damage to the building and no books were stored inside. Officials say, though, the smoke did cause damage to the building's murals.
Well, I think everybody in the city feels like it's a horror. I mean, this is the third fire that we've had. It's an unbelievable kind of situation.
As we all know, the library was hit by 2 arson fires in 1986. The fires caused millions of dollars in damage to the structure and to the large book collection. The renovation job to the library was expected to be completed in 1992. Lonnie.
And Tom, we have this late-breaking story out of West Los Angeles tonight. A police SWAT team has surrounded an apartment building where a gunman has apparently barricaded himself after killing 2 people. The shootings took place near Iowa and Federal Avenues in West LA, and we will give you more details as they become available to us. In other news, after a week of deliberations, a jury has found a former LA police officer guilty in a murder-for-hire plot. 48-year-old Richard Ford was convicted in the contract slaying of Northridge businessman Thomas Weed, whose body has never been found.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Richard Herman Ford, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder in violation of Section 182, Penal Code of California, a felony.
Ford was also found guilty of special circumstance allegations, which could send him to the gas chamber upon sentencing. Ford was on trial with another ex-policeman, Robert Von Villas, whose trial continues. Both are alleged to have conspired with Weed's wife to kill him in 1983. Janie Olgevie testified against the officers after entering a guilty plea to second-degree murder herself.
And police are looking for a suspected gang member in a shooting outside a South Central Los Angeles school. Our reporter Mary Grady says the victim was a student who was on his way to another school.
School district police blocked off parts of San Pedro and 111th Street today looking for evidence to what they're calling another gang-related drive-by shooting. 16-year-old George Hernandez, a Locke High School student, was shot in front of Gomper Junior High while walking to class.
Vehicle pulls over to the side of this curve. They flash gang signs back and forth to one another. The operator of the vehicle calls the student over to the vehicle. As the student goes over to approach the vehicle, he observes a firearm, starts to run, and the driver of the vehicle fires several shots, striking the youngster above the eye.
Police say Hernandez ran here to Locke High School, where he was treated by the school nurse until paramedics arrived. He wasn't seriously hurt. School officials say that the wounded student ran to the school because he knew he would be safer here than out on the streets. Officials say it's a feeling shared by most students.
You have protection and, you know, cops and stuff around, you know, school, black and whites and stuff like that.
School officials say once the students leave the school grounds, their safety can't be guaranteed, but they do try to teach the youngsters to watch out for themselves.
We have word that some of them feel for their safety. We have parents who are concerned about their safety on the way home. We try to counsel them as to how to avoid problems, how to avoid trouble.
In South Central Los Angeles, I'm Mary Grady for Channel 9 News.
Still to come on the 8 o'clock news tonight, the death of entertainer Waylon Flowers.
Also ahead for us, AIDS protesters besiege one of the federal government's main health agencies, and matchmaking in the 80s as we continue our week-long series on LA singles. Stay with us.
After 11 years as a Safeway checker, I know what things cost. So when other markets tell you they've got the lowest this or that, I know when it's a lot of baloney. But now that Safeway is bonds, they've lowered thousands of prices throughout the store. And with the unlimited double coupons, I think that they do. I mean, we really do have the lowest tape total in town.
Check out the low prices at your new Bonds and say hello to some old friends.
Nobody else but Bonds. Hey, isn't this Canon's new personal zoom copier?
No, it's the Queen Mary.
The zoom feature really magnifies my image.
Or cuts you down to size.
And Canon replaceable cartridges sure make it easy to maintain. Like my other PCs.
Well, have you come to praise the PC7 or to buy it?
Listen, Canon's personal zoom copier is the newest star in my family.
Guess you can't pick your relatives.
Personal copiers for every personality, only from Canon.
When an alcoholic doesn't get help, it has a definite impact on his family. Call Care Unit. If you don't call, we can't help.
In a den high in Montana's Blackfeet country, a grizzly settles for a long winter's nap, unaware that down below, people with motors and machinery will explore for oil through deep winter. But before she wakes, the people will be gone. The explored land will be replanted so it will soon look as if no one had ever been there. Do people sometimes work through the winter so nature can have spring all to herself? People do.
When you really need it by tomorrow, Express Tailoring at C&R.
1,500 AIDS protesters closed off the Food and Drug Administration headquarters in Maryland today. About 175 demonstrators were arrested, some of them forcibly. They blocked entrances to the building and arriving employees couldn't get in. The demonstrators were demanding easier access to experimental AIDS drugs.
I'm sick of people treating us like disposable people while thousands and thousands of my brothers and sisters die because we're gay. It's because we're gay. It's not because they can't find a cure. It's because we're gay that they don't care if they find a cure.
2 glass doors were broken during scuffles between police and the demonstrators, and all of those who were arrested were later released. Lonnie.
Tom, the ventriloquist who breathed life into the colorful puppet known as Madam died today. Waylon Flowers lost a battle with cancer 5 weeks after collapsing on stage in Lake Tahoe. The comic and puppeteer created a cast of characters, but it was the craggy old Madam that launched his popularity and led to appearances on Hollywood Square's Solid Gold and Laugh-In. Flowers' publicist said no funeral is planned, but private memorial services in L.A. and in his hometown of Dawson, Georgia are being discussed. Flowers was 48.
And she was a character. Well, from time to time, we all try to make matches among our single friends. Tonight, as she continues her special reports to live and date in L.A., Linda Edwards tells us how local matchmaking has become big business.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. The practice of matching a man to a woman is centuries old, but the matchmakers of today are becoming increasingly sophisticated and commercial.
Well, gentlemen, how are you? Hi. Very good.
On hit TV shows like The Dating Game and Love Connection, singles make a first date on the airwaves, and some work out better than others.
It was awful. I
would have rather gone out with my mother for a nice dinner and use some money for that.
You could probably get a date with.
Don't worry about a thing. In fact, you might say that match night is the ultimate in safe sex.
Susan Block, mistress of the airwaves, hosts Match Night every Monday evening on KFOX.
We are all going on a big date. We're all media brats. This is the media generation, and many of us feel very comfortable with our televisions, with our telephones, with our radios. We've used our television as a babysitter. Why not use the radio as a matchmaker?
I don't try to predict love. I try to predict compatibility of interests, background.
Pat Moore is a modern-day matchmaker who claims to have hundreds of clients, many of them top-notch professionals, CEOs, and politicians. She charges $2,500 apiece, and then based on an interview, she makes matches.
There's about once a month an opportunity to meet someone new.
And why should we waste each other's time to figure out whether we like news, weather, and the sports?
And I'm often accused of working with workaholics. I don't. I work with people who love their work. They prefer to do whatever it is they're doing rather than going out to meetings, to go to the bars, to go to singles clubs.
Next time we hear from the love doctor who claims to be the first man in 6,000 years to understand women. Ladies, you can judge for yourselves, and men, you might learn something. I'm Linda Edwards, Channel 9 News.
I want to meet that guy.
Yeah, right. Russ Nichols joins us when the 8 o'clock news continues.
He will tell you about a new report summing up the Reagan-Bush environmental record. Then we'll tell you why animal rights activists are real upset about Barbie's new wardrobe. Stay tuned for that.
For me, all the fascination of the East is in her eyes.
I see it in their fascinating traditions.
I find it in the people.
But really, there's only one way to describe all the fascination of the East: Malaysia.
Australia's had natural mineral water springs for over 3 million years. But at Koala Springs, we found just plain old mineral water a little boring. So we added real orange and mango juices. Then some lemon, lime, and orange. We tried apples and blackcurrants. And then some orange and passion fruit. Koala Springs sparkling mineral water with fruit juice. It's mineral water with an Australian flavour.
It's the dawning of another damaging day. Ultraviolet light is everywhere, a major cause of skin's premature aging. Now, from Elizabeth Arden comes Immunage UV Defense Cream. Advanced moisture, SPF 15 sun protection. Your skin looks luminous, protected. The age of Immunage has arrived from Elizabeth Arden. Beauty choices, yours with any $10 Elizabeth Arden purchase at May Company.
I think this trip's getting to Mom and Dad. They've been acting strange.
TWA means New York.
They've been yelling at me in days, and I haven't been that good.
TWA means Boston.
The other day, I caught them holding hands.
TWA means Washington. Significant restrictions may apply.
You know, they're really pretty nice once you get to know them.
Today's TWA.
CalPERG, the California Public Interest Research Group, has come out with a report that is a heavy indictment of the Reagan-Bush administration in the areas of the environment and workplace safety.
Now, generally, CalPERG makes no endorsements of political candidates, but it is clear they are not on the side of the vice president this time. Here is Russ Nichols with that story.
Well, as you have probably noticed, Vice President Bush seems to have taken the environmental issue away from Governor Dukakis, but CalPERG gives the Reagan-Bush administration low marks for its health and safety record.
Reagan-Bush administration has clearly been soft on defense of the environment, public health,
and workplace safety.
Dave Bunn is a professional ecologist with a master's degree in agriculture and field biology. He is also a spokesman for CalPERG, a student activist group that has put out a report on the Reagan-Bush environmental record.
They cut the budget roughly for the Clean Air Act enforcement, Clean Water Act enforcement, and pesticide enforcement by 30%. They did just about everything they could to cripple the federal government's ability to do the regulatory job it's supposed to and to protect the environment.
Vice President Bush has attacked the Dukakis environmental record.
For example, Boston Harbor's come up in the recent election campaign. Well, under the task force of George Bush, it was his job to dismantle the clean water program at the EPA. As a result, we have not only problems in Boston Harbor, but across the country.
CalPERG charges that environmental budget cuts have resulted in serious poisoning of our air and water, leading to unnecessary sickness and death.
There's a number of pesticides that the EPA was about ready to restrict their use because they cause cancer and they leach into the groundwater. And as soon as the Reagan-Bush administration moved into place again, they put people in charge of the EPA that would cut back on their ability to regulate those pesticides. In fact, allowed those pesticides to continue to be used for the last 8 years.
And finally, there's the issue of workplace safety.
Well, the federal OSHA program has been cut back tremendously. The National Workplace Safety Institute's estimated that cuts by the Reagan-Bush administration have led to an additional 9,000 deaths among workers across this country.
CalPERG delivered its report indicting the administration record to 10 EPA offices across the country. However, CalPERG makes no endorsements, and Bunn cites Dukakis for failing to give environmental issues top priority in his campaign, beginning with the depletion of the ozone layer.
Okay, maybe we'll hear about it in the debate this week.
Those guys, I'd like to see them talk about it.
All right, thanks a lot, Russ. Let's talk toys now. The ever-popular Barbie doll has always meant style and sophistication to little girls, but now she's caught in the middle of a brouhaha that has the fur flying. Here's more.
Barbie, America's top-selling doll, has been cruising in fashion's fast lane for 29 years. And over the years, there have been hundreds of accessories. Spandex for working out, stonewashed denim for hanging out, fake party furs for going out. But now Spiegel's catalog is offering an exclusive item for your Barbie that animal activists say is really to die for. An authentic mink fur for $59. The publisher of Animal's Voice magazine is outraged. He says the fur should be sold with appropriately cruel accessories.
Why not get some accessories like the Barbie steel jaw leg hold trap, the Barbie seal skull crushing club, the Barbie body snare trap with matching skinning knife.
The fur manufacturer, Mini Mink, says doll furs are made out of scraps, so no additional animals are being slaughtered. It's hoping to expand the line beyond Spiegel's. Mattel has nothing to do with the doll furs and hasn't decided what it will do. On the eve of her 30th birthday, Barbie may have some grown-up problems to deal with. Susan Lasovich, Los Angeles.
Okay, that's what growing up is about, I guess. Andrew Avador, up next with a look at the weather.
Yeah, cattle around us just aren't what they used to be. These days, you gotta pamper beef.
Black Angus is now serving prime rib at its best.
Now we got this fancy high-class beef.
Slowly roasted and served traditional or mushroom smothered.
You gotta wait on hand and hoof.
Our prime rib dinner, just $8.95 at Black Angus.
Okay, who had the tossed alfalfa?
On the next Live.
What's that for, Reach?
Are you kidding? John Denver's coming. I gotta look good. I gotta get into that country groove, you know, a Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah, and thank God you're a country boy. We're also going to talk to Primetime TV's hottest teen star, actress Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss?
Yes, and if you're planning on buying some new furniture, don't do a thing. We've got some great tips for you on how to get those great bargains, up to 50% off on furniture straight from the factory.
Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Prepare for takeoff, Captain.
Hold on.
There. She
She ignites in the wink of me eye. Clean and efficient, too, she is. And she does not cost you a fortune to run. Aye, there's nothing in the universe as bonny as a new generation gas range. Is that not right, Captain? Power your crew with new energy-efficient gas appliances.
My name is Lisa, and I'd like to tell you something you may find hard to believe. You see, I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. Oh, I might not look like it now, but for 5 years when I was really drinking and using, there wasn't anything I wouldn't have done for a drink or a couple of pills. You know, sometimes I wonder how I ever could have lived that way. Other times I wonder how I ever lived through it.
Last year, Lisa reached out for help because it's never too late for a new beginning.
Andrew Amador's Weather Report is being brought to you by Coco's new bakery restaurants, now featuring their special prime rib dinner. And by Holland America Line. At Holland America Line, we never forget whose vacation it is.
It's only appropriate that we welcome back Mr. Lawrence, who's been new daddy for a week.
A week? Yes. Isn't that amazing?
We welcome Daniel Joseph,
Absolutely.
to the world.
Happy, healthy, smiling, and crying.
And Tom also has a broken foot, which we should also mention, I think.
Yeah. To get out of the chores, we're all
What a
betting.
busy week for Tom. A new child and a broken foot. You can't top that. Let's check out those stats at 8 and see where we are. Temperature 67, relative humidity 68%. But we are happy to have you back, Tom. The pressure is steady, winds out of the west, 8 miles per hour. The maximum today at the Civic Center, 80. The overnight low, 65. This morning, south coast visibility near zero. Tonight, that fog moves up. And for the north coast, dense fog. So if you're traveling, be most careful. Let's check out the local picture for you tonight. And the high was 80, and the overnight low was 54. And the dense fog is moving in as we see. Let's check a look at that local satellite picture if we can tonight. Do we have the local satellite picture? Fine. How about the national satellite picture? All right. How about the numbers? How about the Outlook numbers? Do we have those? National picture for you. Fair over much of the country today, but a few showers and thunderstorms over portions of New Mexico, and very cold weather over the east because of a little cold front moving in there. Here are the local numbers for you now. Are we in the twilight zone now, or are we back out again? Let's check out the local forecast then tonight. See you later. 5-day forecast. Well, not too bad over the next couple of days, but again, here are those local numbers in case you need to see those. 5-day forecast, high pressure over the western U.S. continues to weaken, bringing cooler weather to the southland with coastal low clouds and fog. And in some areas, that fog will be most dense. I think dense is the key word tonight. But all in all, not a bad few days. And Tom, welcome back. Maybe it's a bad omen, for me at least.
Well, talk about a tense evening here for Andrew. You handle it very well. A tense evening for the Dodgers and Mets.
Buy Peak. Figured he'd save some money. Wasn't enough to cover his tow truck bill.
Only Peak gives you peak performance.
It's Captain Midnight, brought to you by Ovaltine.
Remember, to do your best, you've got to be at your best, because someday you may be called upon to pilot a jet plane across the continent, to take the wheel and bring a great ship safely into port, to drive an ambulance to disaster areas. That's why I want all Secret Squadron members to drink Ovaltine every day. Here's an important Secret Squadron message.
Classic Ovaltine's back in chocolate malt and original malt flavors, and still available in rich chocolate.
Want to win a pair of tickets to watch the last game of the Dodgers-Mets series? The stadium tomorrow looks like it's going to be tomorrow. I'll be the first to correctly answer this. What two pitchers have won the most National League Championship Series games for the Dodgers? 213-520-1261. Now you have 2 minutes. Now, what's going on in Game 6 is not pleasant. Let's look at the score. Not pleasant if you're a Dodgers fan. The score is 5-1 in favor of the Mets. Trust me. There it is. They're in the 9th inning. All right. A trade in the NBA today. Sacramento sent Otis Thorpe to Houston for Rodney McRae and Jim Peterson. Trust me on that. In the NHL, Pittsburgh and Washington, for the second time in 4 days, The Penguins and Capitals faced off. Washington's Kevin Hatcher was blue in the face tonight, actually blue in the teeth. Less than 33 minutes into the game, and Pittsburgh sensation Mario Lemieux already recorded a hat trick. That made it 7-1. But the Capitals rallied behind the play of Mike Ridley, who scored 4 goals of his own. His theft and ensuing goal made it 7-6 in the third. But Pittsburgh held on, and there is your final, trust me on that, 7-6. Couple of 3-0 teams at the Forum tomorrow. The 3-0 Boston Bruins will play the 3-0 LA Kings. Finally, as you know by now, if you care, Robin Givens filed for divorce last Friday. The only reason that was the news story it was is because she's married to Mike Tyson, the heavyweight champion of the world. Her original attorney said she would seek half of what Tyson made during their 8 months marriage, but Givens' new lawyers say they'll seek an out-of-court settlement with Tyson. Over the weekend, the New York Daily News reported that Tyson blocked Givens from cashing a $651,000 check after she came to L.A. to get a divorce. And Tyson's lawyer says he's thinking of filing for an annulment, claiming he married Givens after she lied about being pregnant. But Givens' lawyers say she was pregnant, and tomorrow they'll get a medical report that will show that pregnancy ended in a miscarriage or was terminated for unspecified health reasons. Short commentary. I don't know how any court will rule if this case ever comes to trial, but 3 things stand out to me. 1, this bad guy picture of Mike Tyson is not a picture I've seen. The first time I interviewed Mike, he was still single, and we were both lying on the floor of his hotel room while he was reading a Penthouse magazine. He was one of the most peaceful and laid-back professionals I've ever met. 2, I don't think most folks had heard of Robin Givens until she hooked up with Tyson. And 3, does anybody honestly believe Barbara Walters would have interviewed Givens if she wasn't involved with Mike Tyson? So, in conclusion, one wonders if justice might best be served by ruling that Ms. Givens has already profited handsomely from her 8-month relationship with Mike Tyson. Matthew Bates of Pasadena has won the tickets because he said that Fernando and Don Sutton have won 3 NL championship games for the Dodgers, and that's sports.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott. Time now to go up to Wendy Gordon in the newsroom and see what they're working on for the 9 o'clock news as well. Wendy.
Right, Lonnie and Tom, coming up at 9, a new poll shows some surprises in the race for California's U.S. Senate seat. Latest round in the Tyson-Givens fight has the champ throwing a punch. Sandy takes us to the opera and the ballet all in one night, and we will tell you how they are cracking down on video pirates. See you at 9.
Okay, and we'll be there. That's it for now. Back at 9 o'clock.
Good night.